Hello everyone, Fred here. In this installment of TPP Dynamite, I'm going to be talking about why Sam Wilson, the Falcon, should not have been made the MCU's new Captain America. First things first though, if you haven't already, let me encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I post film, book, and TV series reviews. I do opinion pieces on entertainment, news, and affairs. I'm also an author of adult and young adult mystery novels. I recently released a new short mystery called The Intruder. There's a link to it in my video description below, and I encourage you to check it out as well. With that in mind, and without further ado, I'm going to just jump right into it. So this video is a follow-up to my video about why Bucky Barnes, or the Winter Soldier, should not have been the MCU's new Captain America. Despite that video was specifically about why Bucky should not be the MCU's new Captain America, I also pitched in that video quite a few reasons for why I believe that Sam Wilson should not be the MCU's new Captain America either, for why, in fact, the Captain America title really should not have been passed to anyone at the end of Avengers Endgame, and for why the title should have just been retired when Steve Rogers finished with it. Even so, I think quite a few people misunderstood me and somehow took that video about Bucky as my way of saying that Sam should have been chosen instead. Ergo, I decided to make this follow-up video in which I unequivocally explain yet again why Sam Wilson as the MCU's Captain America is a poor choice too. Now this case that I'll be making has 3 points, and I'll go through them one by one. Alright. First and foremost, Sam Wilson's comic book run as Captain America was a flat failure. Audience reaction to comic book storylines generally tends to mirror audience reaction to those storylines' adaptation in live action or animation. And the comic book run featuring Falcon as Captain America did not perform well on any relevant level, financially, critically, with audiences. That run of comics never should have even happened in the first place because, let's be honest, it was little more than an ill-conceived part of an even more ill-conceived trend in comics at the time to play at DEI by tossing women and minorities into iconic roles formerly inhabited by white men. And the fact that it failed as miserably as it did makes me strongly suspect that most MCU fans would not take very well to its adaptation on screen. And if the ticket sales for Captain America Brave New World are any indication, my suspicion is very well founded. Also, just as a side note, I know that other more prolific YouTubers have made entire videos about this already, but speaking personally as a minority myself, I find it absolutely disrespectful on pretty much all levels when comic books and the entertainment industry generally does this sort of thing. Acting like the biggest achievement that women or minorities like Sam Wilson or Miles Morales or Riri Williams can reach is taking and inhabiting something that belongs to and was previously established by a white male character. The entertainment industry needs to stop this trend of race-swapping iconic white male characters with particularly black characters, or quote-unquote passing the mantle of iconic white male characters to particularly black characters and calling it progressive storytelling. It is not. What it is a cheap way for writers and other creatives to avoid expending resources to develop original black characters and write original strong stories around them. Sam Wilson is not Captain America, Calvin Ellis and Val Zod are not Superman, Miles Morales is not Spider-Man, Riri Williams is not Iron Man. Write those characters into strong stories in which they fight under their own standards. This is so disrespectful to the black characters who usually end up getting hampered with shallow and usually overly political storytelling. It is so disrespectful to, frankly, the white male characters who've been masterfully built up over usually decades, only to be deconstructed for the sake of so-called progressiveness, and it is so disrespectful to the fans who just want good stories about their favorite characters. Yeah! Hollywood and the general entertainment industry needs to do better. Do better. Okay, micro rant over. Second point. Sam Wilson in the MCU does not have either the leading man energy nor the leading man character to replace Steve Rogers as Captain America. Sam Wilson was well established in Captain America the Winter Soldier as a highly skilled war veteran, a highly skilled mental health counselor, and an independent thinker who's unafraid to break from the crowd, and an all-around good guy with a hero's heart. The movie really did give him a perfect sort of setup to become that guy futuristically. Unfortunately, he was wasted, and not in the fun way, in every single appearance that he made afterwards. Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame all portrayed him as less so his own independent character, and more so Steve Rogers' personal bobblehead accessory. Like the guy at the prom who follows the popular jock around, hoping it'll cause a few girls to notice him too. Sam Wilson in those movies had or displayed no sense of independent morality aside from or greater than that of Steve Rogers. His greatest accomplishment across all those movies was worshiping Steve Rogers like an idol, massaging Steve's ego, never saying anything that Steve didn't want said, never doing anything that Steve didn't want done. And if you ask me, that was disqualifying enough on its own. A leading man, especially someone with the title of Captain America, needs to be a leader, not a follower. Someone who sees the right moves and calls the plays versus just executing them. Sam Wilson just doesn't have that kind of energy, and maybe that comes down in part to a casting issue, seeing as Anthony Mackie just never really has had that leading man energy and has always given off more of a best friend, primary supporting character kind of vibe. But either way, it's the truth that stands. There were jokes about this made even in The Winter Soldier and in Civil War when Sam was telling Steve about how he does what Steve does, just slower, and how the people who shoot at Steve tend to shoot at him too. This man is a follower, not a leader. And again, that would be disqualifying enough on its own. But then Sam Wilson's own streaming series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just went and completely assassinated the character of Sam Wilson also. That series not only depicted Sam Wilson once again as having zero leading man energy, but also depicted him as an arrogant, tone-deaf, borderline racist, and generally despicable human being. That series portrayed Sam Wilson as nothing but a petulant preacher who praises a murdering terrorist organization on national television while disrespecting the United States and United Nations just because they want to give people who return to life after the undoing of Thanos' snap the homes and property that were theirs before they ceased to exist. He ignores Bucky's trauma and arrogantly refers to Bucky as privileged just because Bucky is white, despite that Bucky Barnes has probably been through more anguish and struggle than Sam himself or just about anyone else whom Sam knows. He, despite promising Steve Rogers at the end of Avengers Endgame to do his best with the shield, literally gives up the shield to the American government, then gets offended when the government gives the shield to John Walker, then bullies and antagonizes John Walker for no reasons besides that John is white, isn't Steve Rogers, and asks Sam to support him. And it was all just so childish on Sam's part, so juvenile. Like Steve Rogers demonstrated more maturity and selflessness within the first half hour of Captain America the First Avenger than Sam Wilson did in his entire solo series. Sam Wilson, simply put, does not have either the leading man energy or the leading man character to be Captain America. Third, and honestly, this really would be disqualifying enough even if those first two factors were not in consideration. Sam Wilson is not a super soldier. He is a mid-40s human being with an indestructible flight suit and an unbreakable shield. So the way I see it, either he gets the super soldier serum, which he has already said that he doesn't want, or about 80% of everything he does and every fight that he wins as Captain America is unbelievable from a storytelling standpoint. Like just catching the shield after throwing it at certain speeds should tear Sam's arm right off his body, or at least dislocate it. There is no way that he should be able to do things like that ridiculous scene from the Brave New World trailer in which he, despite being unable in Falcon and the Winter Soldier to throw the shield across a mid-sized room with enough force to pass a flying chair, throws the shield from maybe 100 yards away and bounces it off of flying missiles to destroy them in air. There is no way that Sam, without his helmet on, should be able to do things like that ridiculous scene from the Brave New World trailer where he uses the delayed sonic boom from his landing after flight to take out a group of hostiles without getting knocked down himself or without blowing up his own eardrums like balloons. Really? Really? Sam Wilson shouldn't be able to ever even catch the shield by the straps like he does after throwing it so that it'll ricochet back to him. Given the speed at which that shield moves, there is no way that an ordinary human being with ordinary human eyes and ordinary human perception would be able to detect where the straps would be at the moment of the shield's return and time his catch well enough so that his arm fits properly through the straps. Steve Rogers can catch the shield by the straps because Steve is a super soldier, because it's well established that he has superhuman powers of perception and intellect that enable him to see and think fast enough to instinctively catch flying objects with pinpoint precision. Steve Rogers could probably do things like ricochet the shield off of missiles from 100 feet away because Steve is a super soldier, because he has the super strength to toss the shield that distance, and because, again, his superhuman powers of perception and intellect give him an instinctive and expert grasp of the physics and geometry required to make otherwise impossible ricochets like that. And now I'm just going to go ahead and stop you by answering the counter argument that I already know you've been contemplating since I brought up how Sam Wilson is not a super soldier.
But man, what about that vibranium suit he got from the Wakandans? Wouldn't it make him stronger or faster or more durable? It worked for T'Challa and Shuri. Their only equipment was one shock-absorbing vibranium suit each, and they were still super strong and super fast and super durable.
Yeah, here's a little free MCU lesson. T'Challa and Shuri were super soldiers themselves after ingesting the mixture made from the heart-shaped herb. Their suits made them bulletproof and able to absorb and repurpose kinetic energy, but their ability to run faster, jump higher, use super reflexes, hit harder, and display greater flexibility than anyone else didn't come from the vibranium suits, but from the herb mixture. So there is no physical way that Sam Wilson with a vibranium flight suit should be capable of running or jumping or hitting or kicking or reacting with superhuman style like he does in the Brave New World promotional materials. Like jumping over a car that's thrown at him by Red Hulk and being bathed in flames from that car without getting his face burned off. Or taking straight punches from a Hulk without dying while catching them with his bare arms.
But man, what about the indestructible shield that can withstand any blow? Shouldn't that mean he can take punches from Red Hulk with no problem as long as the shield deflects them?
Yeah, here's a little free physics lesson. The shield is indestructible, but human bones are not. Captain America the First Avenger established that much when Bucky, as an ordinary human, used the shield to block a laser blast, but still got knocked down from the Force. Captain America the Winter Soldier established that much when Captain America caught the Winter Soldier's metal arm punch with the shield, but still struggled under the Force. Just consider how much stronger a Hulk is going to be than a laser blast or a Winter Soldier punch. And I don't know, maybe we can say that if Falcon's Captain America suit really is like Black Panther's suit, he could survive a punch from Red Hulk as long as the suit were covering his whole body. But if any ordinary mid-40s human being took a punch like this one from a Hulk with his bare hands and using nothing but a shield like what's depicted here, the force and the shock would break his arms, probably shatter his spine, and generally turn his whole body into jelly. There is just no physical way that he would not be pulverized. The shield cannot be penetrated, but it does not absorb all force and can be pushed back when the person holding it is not strong enough to stand his ground. Basically, Sam Wilson is an above average, mid-40s human soldier. He had the benefit of training in the Air Force, as well as with Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff. He has a high aptitude for using his flight suit, and the suit's vibranium design gives him a little more of an edge in combat by protecting the parts of his body that it covers from being destroyed by impact damage. But that's it. Portraying him any other way requires not only suspension of disbelief, but also suspension of reality. So yeah, in the end, Sam Wilson's failure as Captain America in the comics is a relatively strong sign that it's not going to work in adaptation either. Sam Wilson has neither the leading man energy nor the character to replace Steve Rogers, and the fact that he's not a super soldier makes it too hard to believe that he's capable of doing even half the things that he does in the Brave New World trailers alone. That's my case for why he should not be the MCU's new Captain America, and I rest it here. But as always, that's just my opinion. Time for you to share yours. Sound off in the comments below to tell me what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Are your feelings more complex? Meanwhile, if you like this video and made it this far, don't forget to leave a like, click subscribe, ring that bell, and hey, follow me on social media as well. So long.